Hello and a very warm welcome to Sabha TV. This is the News Tonight, your daily roundup of news and updates from around India and the world. I'm Tina Jha. Another flight with a Malaysian connection has gone missing. AirAsia flight QZ8501 lost contact with air traffic controllers as it flew from Surabaya to Singapore. Speculations and rumours abound even as the search operation continues. We'll get you a detailed report on this later on in the show, but first up, the headlines. Another Malaysia-affiliated airline flight goes missing. AirAsia's QZ8501 loses ATC contact en route from Indonesia to Singapore. Jharkhand gets its 10th Chief Minister as Raghubar Das is sworn in along with 4 cabinet colleagues. Cold wave intensifies in North India as dense fog affects rail, road and air traffic. Delhi records its lowest temperature in over 5 years. And Malaysia, Thailand and Sri Lanka deal with severe flooding and landslides as torrential rains hit Southeast Asia. Well, Jharkhand Governor Syed Ahmed administered the oath of office and secrecy to BJP's Raghubar Das today. Das is the 10th Chief Minister of the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was to attend the ceremony at the Birsa Munda Football Stadium in Morahabadi, cancelled due to bad weather in Delhi. The half-an-hour-long event was held in the form of a public ceremony.
The 10th Chief Minister of Jharkhand greeting people who voted him to power with folded hands. BJP stalwarts including Cabinet Ministers M. Venkaiah Naidu and Radha Mohan Singh and Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis were in attendance.
रघुवर दास ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय झारखंड राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को उस अवस्था को छोड़कर जबकि ऐसे मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में मैं अपने कर्तव्यों के उचित निर्वहन के लिए ऐसा करना अपेक्षित हो अन्य अवस्था में मैं प्रत्यक्ष अथवा परोक्ष रूप में संसूचित या प्रकट नहीं करूंगा.
Along with Das, BJP's Ranchi MLA and former Speaker of Jharkhand Assembly CP Singh, Dhanbad MLA Dr. Louis Marandi and Khunti MLA Neelkant Singh Munda also took oath as ministers from BJP quota. Ramgarh MLA and former Minister Chandra Prakash Chaudhary was the only MLA from the AJSU party to be sworn in as the 5th Minister of the State Cabinet. Jharkhand can have a 12-member cabinet as the assembly has 81 MLAs. Despite an announcement and preparations by the BJP, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and BJP President Amit Shah could not attend the function due to bad weather in Delhi. But Modi tweeted his best wishes to the new Jharkhand CM, emphasizing that the people of Jharkhand had voted for stability. The other dignitaries at the ceremony included former Chief Ministers Hemant Soren and Arjun Munda, along with former Deputy Chief Minister and AJSU Party President Sudesh Mahato. Das held a meeting with the secretaries of the state and also chaired the first meeting of his cabinet later in the day.
हमारी सरकार की प्राथमिकता है विकास. हमारी सरकार की प्राथमिकता है सुशासन, पारदर्शी शासन. और जो भी विकास के कार्य हो रहे हैं वो भ्रष्टाचार मुक्त होगा.
Raghubar Das has a tough task at hand in a state that has seldom seen a stable government at the helm. In its 14 years of existence, Jharkhand has seen 3 presidents rule and 9 chief ministers before Das. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Dense fog combined with bone-chilling temperatures. This just about sums up the life of the average North Indian these days. Rail, air and road traffic has been thrown off gear, affecting normal life. The death toll from the cold wave is nearing the 100 mark.
Sunday was the coldest day in the national capital in more than 5 years. The city shivered at 2.6 degrees Celsius, 5 notches below the normal temperature at this time in the season. A thick blanket of fog enveloped the city through the day, bringing down visibility to less than 50 meters. Passengers coming into and leaving from the city bore the brunt as more than 55 flights and 70 trains were either cancelled or delayed.
का अभी 23 घंटा ट्रेन लेट है, कंफर्म टिकट है, दूसरी में जगह नहीं है, परेशान है, अब कहाँ जाएं इतना ठंडा में।
समझ में नहीं आ रहा यार, इतनी परेशानी लेके लोग कहाँ भटके।
Delhi was not alone. Extreme cold weather conditions prevailed in the rest of North India as well. Icy winds froze the desert state of Rajasthan, bringing temperatures down by nearly 3 to 4 notches. Churu remained the coldest place, recording a minimum temperature of 1.4 degrees Celsius. Similar conditions prevailed in Punjab and Haryana as well, where dense fog engulfed large parts of the state. Chandigarh witnessed its coldest night at 2.3 degrees Celsius. In Jammu and Kashmir, the mercury plunged to new lows. While Srinagar got a slight respite from the intense cold, Leh recorded a minimum temperature of minus 17 degrees Celsius. In Himachal, Shimla got fresh snowfall, forcing people to stay indoors.
यहाँ तो बड़ी भारी ठंड है, बहुत दिक्कत है, ठंड में कहाँ बैठना है।
According to the weathermen, cold wave conditions coupled with dense fog will continue unabated in the northern parts of the country for at least 2 more days.
We are not expecting any much change in the weather over northwest India or northern plains next couple of days. Dense fog conditions and cold conditions during the day particularly will continue, and there may be some slight mild sunshine in the during middle of the day.
At least 100 people have died across North India due to extreme cold this season. The toll may go up if the cold wave continues its grip on the region. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Vice President has cautioned the country from believing in faith-based history, as it may lead to a repeat of mistakes and blunders that happened in the past. He has suggested that instead of homogenization, efforts should be made towards accommodating the diversities of the country.
Vice President Muhammad Hamid Ansari made the inaugural address at the 75th session of the Indian History Congress. In the presence of more than 500 historians and academicians, the Vice President said that no discrimination should be made on the basis of faith while writing and understanding the history of India.
History also cannot be faith-based. The domains of the two exist separately, and conflation does not further the cause of either. A simple answer is that it is a method of inquiry which deals with what has reportedly happened and not exactly as it happened. It is a narrative of change. It has been suggested that historical objectivity is seen to be not a single idea, but rather a sprawling sets of assumptions, attitudes, aspirations, and antipathies.
While emphasizing that history helps the ruling class to learn from past mistakes, the Vice President cautioned against the idea of a homogeneous nation-state.
It has, of necessity, to be liberal and accommodative, marked, to quote an eminent scholar, neither by complete homogenization nor by particularism of closed communities. Instead, it is a balance struck by the mutual gravitational pull of disparate sections that make the whole. Our sagacity in building a pluralist structure that have stood the test of over 6 decades stands in contrast to many straitjacket edifices in other societies that came to grief. By the same token, these structures need constant nurturing.
The Indian History Congress is being hosted by the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and Rajya Sabha TV is the media partner of the event.
The evidence that I cited above from our ancient texts of cultural differences, tensions, even of conflicts, was evidence of dynamic interactions in a heterogeneous society. Keeping the heritage of that glorious, if contentious, heterogeneity in mind, let us hope that today we do not deliberately consign that country, our many Indias, to the black hole of robotic uniformity in the name of integration and unity.
The key theme of the Indian History Congress is unity in diversity. Historians will take up the issue in all its varied forms in the next 2 days and will deliberate on issues related to the central theme. There will be examples from ancient texts, right from the ancient to the medieval to the modern. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
A controversy has erupted over the resignation of IIT Delhi director Raghunath K. Shivgaonkar. Though Shivgaonkar cited personal reasons for stepping down from the post, certain news reports suggest Shivgaonkar was under tremendous pressure from the HRD ministry to release nearly 70 lakh rupees to former faculty member and now BJP functionary Subramaniam Swamy as part of his salary dues between 1972 and 1991. There are also reports that say Master Blaster Sachin Tendulkar wanted IIT Delhi land to set up a cricket academy. Both Swamy and Tendulkar have strongly denied these reports. The HRD ministry has also issued a clarification in this regard, saying its name was being unnecessarily dragged into it. The development has evoked several reactions from the political fraternity.
कि आईआईटी हो चाहे आईएम हो, ये देश की सर्वोच्च संस्थाएं हैं और इनकी जो ऑटोनॉमी है उसको बरकरार रखना चाहिए और किसी तरह का भी गलत दबाव सरकार की तरफ से नहीं पड़ना चाहिए।
जिस तरह से आईआईटी दिल्ली के डायरेक्टर को प्रेशराइज किया गया था गलत काम करने के लिए और आईआईटी डायरेक्टर को इस्तीफा देना पड़ा, ये बहुत ही दुखदायक बात है। ये इंस्टीट्यूट्स हमारे देश के प्रीमियर इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं जिनका नाम न केवल देश में विदेशों में भी है। तो इस तरह से आईआईटी ऑटोनोमस बॉडीज हैं, ये सरकार को शोभा नहीं देता कि मिनिस्ट्री इस तरह से आईआईटी में दखल अंदाजी करे।
कहीं अधिकारी कोई अगर गलत कर रहा है या उसने गलत किया है, अगर उससे पूछताछ करना या पूछना क्या दबाव होता है या उसको सिस्टम को ठीक करना होता है, इस तरह के एलिगेशंस लगाना और इस तरह इन सब मुद्दों को हवा देना, मैं मानता हूं कि ये एक संकीर्ण सोच है कांग्रेस की और आम आदमी पार्टी की।
Meanwhile, on the diplomatic front, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj held talks with South Korea's Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, Yoon Sang-jik, in Seoul today. The two leaders discussed collaboration in vital areas like co-production of LNG tankers. Swaraj also made a strong pitch for India's flagship Make in India campaign. The two ministers also discussed possibilities of addressing the trade deficit, which is in favor of South Korea. The External Affairs Minister also raised the need for a level playing field for Indian pharmaceuticals and software exports. The minister arrived in Seoul on a 3-day visit to co-chair the 8th Joint Commission meeting on Monday with her South Korean counterpart. She is also scheduled to meet President Park Geun-hye on Monday. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's wife Jashodaben has been denied the information she sought through an RTI. Jashodaben had sought information regarding the security cover provided to her by the Mehsana police. The Mehsana police have deployed 10 policemen, including armed guards who work in shifts to provide security to the Prime Minister's wife. In the RTI filed by Jashodaben on the 24th of November, she had asked for the details of the official order under which she had been provided security. She also sought information about what other services she was entitled to. Jashodaben also expressed unhappiness over the current security setup where her guards travel in government vehicles like car, while she, despite being the Prime Minister's wife, has to travel in public transport. And time now for all the other national news and updates in Nationwide. The Sri Lankan Navy has arrested 8 fishermen from Tamil Nadu on charges of poaching in the island nation's waters. They were arrested near Kattathuvitu along with their boats. Earlier on the 9th of December, Lankan naval personnel had fired in the air and damaged more than 20 fishing nets to chase away fishermen. One person was killed and 12 others injured in a blast at a ferroalloys factory in Visakhapatnam. According to eyewitnesses, excessive gas eruption in a furnace caused the explosion. This is the second such accident to take place in 1 year at the factory. The state government has set up a committee to inquire the accidents that seem to be happening regularly. A group of 50 Maoists blasted a mobile tower in Gaya district of Bihar, instilling fear among the villagers. The incident took place at around 7:30 a.m. today. The Maoists were also shouting slogans "Long live Maoism" and warned locals of dire consequences if they tried to stop them. Hindu organizations staged a protest against Amir Khan's newly released movie PK in Mumbai and Allahabad. The protest was led by Hindu outfits Vishwa Hindu Parishad and the Bajrang Dal. The protesters want the movie to be banned. They claim the film hurts the sentiments of the Hindu community. The time now for a short break here, but coming up ahead on the program, UN Chief Ban Ki-moon urges Pakistan to halt militants' executions. Details to follow after this very quick break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. Well, in the big news of the day, just months after the Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 disappeared, another AirAsia flight QZ8501 has gone missing. The Singapore-bound Indonesian jet carrying 162 passengers lost contact with the control room early this morning. This happened shortly after the pilots requested for a change of flight path because of bad weather. Rumours and speculations are flying thick and fast as there is no concrete information available on the missing plane.
It's deja vu time for another Malaysia-affiliated airline. After MH370 and MH17 disasters, now it is AirAsia QZ8501, the third major aviation incident in 2014 involving a Malaysian carrier. The plane lost contact with Indonesian air traffic controllers after the pilot asked permission to change course to avoid bad weather en route to Singapore. Officials said no distress signal was sent from the plane, and by this time, the fuel would also have been exhausted.
This morning, Indonesia AirAsia lost contact with AirAsia Indonesia flight 8501 at 7:24 a.m. departing from Surabaya to Singapore in Indonesian airspace. Since then, search operations are going on.
Search operations have been halted for now and will be resumed at first light on Monday. However, Indonesian officials said big ships won't return and will leave their searchlights on. Malaysia has also deployed military vessels to search the plane. Singapore and Australia have also offered help.
The Malaysian government has committed and deployed our military asset to assist Indonesia with the search operation.
At the airport in Surabaya, loved ones gathered and wept as they waited for any word on the passengers. AirAsia has set up an emergency line for family or friends of those who were on board.
Tiba terdampar, mudah-mudahan Gusti Allah memberikan semuanya selamat, nggak ada masalah apapun.
Pak Purnomo sebetulnya tadinya akan ikut terbang juga.
Iya, saya mau berangkat ke Singapura pagi ini, tadi saya udah mau berangkat.
17 children, including one infant, are among the passengers. 7 of the people on board are crew members. The missing passengers included 1 Briton, 1 Malaysian, 1 Singaporean and 3 Koreans.
Because they planned their vacation on their own. Yeah, it was supposed to be their last vacation before us got married.
According to Indonesian officials, the aircraft went missing as it flew over the islands of Belitung and Borneo. There are also unconfirmed reports that an aircraft crashed in waters of East Belitung off the east coast of Sumatra. However, the exact location of the crash site has not been identified so far. Chief Executive of AirAsia has promised full disclosure of events as the investigation progresses. This has been a troubled year for Malaysia-affiliated airlines. There is still no clue on the Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 that went missing on March 8th on a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing with 239 passengers on board. Later, on July 17th, flight MH17 was shot down over Ukraine, killing all 298 people on board. Relatives of the passengers on board the AirAsia plane are keeping their fingers crossed in the hope that it will be found and they will at least get some closure. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in the other big international news, as the death toll in the floods that have hit Southeast Asia mount, governments are coming forward to help those affected. Malaysia has pledged an additional $142 million to help battle the situation. Rescuers are facing challenges as entire towns are submerged.
Authorities in Southeast Asia have warned people to brace up for more floods in the coming days. Heavy rainfall across the region has killed dozens and displaced tens of thousands in Thailand, Malaysia and Sri Lanka. Malaysia has announced an extra $142 million in aid to victims of the country's worst flooding in decades. Prime Minister Najib Razak made the announcement after visiting the flood-stricken areas.
Jumlah kewangan untuk membantu bangsa-bangsa banjir ditambah sebanyak 500 juta lagi.
At least 8 people have been killed in Malaysia. There are fears that the death toll could rise further as several more are stranded without food or medicines. Supplies are slowly making their way to areas in North Malaysia. Rising floodwater has made some roads impassable, hampering rescue efforts. Victims are angry with the government for its slow response to the tragedy. In Thailand, the government has declared 8 of its southern provinces disaster zones. 13 people have been confirmed dead in the country. Though floodwaters have begun to recede in some parts, authorities are closely monitoring the situation as the flooding could result in landslides. In Sri Lanka, floods and mudslides triggered by heavy rain have killed at least 17. Another 15 people have gone missing. Forecasters are expecting another spell of heavy showers and storms across the region. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's now get you some more international news and updates in the Global Buzz. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has asked the Pakistani government to halt executions of convicts and reimpose the moratorium on death penalty. This after Pakistan lifted a 6-year moratorium on death penalty following a Taliban attack on the Peshawar Army School. Earlier this week, Chief of UN Human Rights Commission also condemned the Pak decision to go ahead with mass execution of convicted terrorists. Security remains tight in Afghanistan as the United States and NATO formally ended their war in Afghanistan. A formal ceremony was held in Kabul to mark the end of NATO's combat mission in the country. Heavily armed police officials searched vehicles and individuals on the streets following Saturday's incident in which 3 civilians were killed in NATO airstrikes accidentally. Croats voted to elect a new president today. The incumbent president, Ivo Josipovic, is one of the 4 candidates. He was nominated by the governing coalition. If none of the 4 candidates gets more than 50% of the vote, there will be a runoff in 2 weeks' time. Heavy snow and ice have reportedly stranded 15,000 vehicles in the French Alps, slowing down holiday traffic to and from ski resorts. Severe weather alerts have also been issued in surrounding areas. Local administration arranged emergency overnight shelters for those who had to abandon their vehicles. Right, we'll slip into another short break here, but coming up next, all the news from the day 3 at MCG test and more sports news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Time for all the sports news now. Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane fought hard to keep India in the hunt on day 3 of the MCG test. India is riding on the back of centuries by the 2 batsmen in a record stand of 262 runs for the 4th wicket. Kohli was out in the last over of the day by Mitchell Johnson. Rahane hit his highest test score of 147 runs. At the close, the visitors were 462 for 8 wickets, trailing by 68 runs with 2 days remaining. India is trailing the Border Gavaskar Trophy series by 2-0.
They've gone forward. It's just flown off his bat in this innings. Have a look at that.
And more sports news in the Sports Beat. Despite a glitzy ISL, it has been a dismal year for Indian football. India dropped 15 places in the FIFA rankings from 156th at the beginning of the year to 171 at year-end. Another worry for the team is filling the position left vacant after coach Wim Kovermans decided not to continue. Rob Ban has also quit as technical director. Indian left-arm spinner Pragyan Ojha has been banned by the BCCI from bowling in competitive matches over a suspect bowling action. BCCI has informed the Hyderabad Association that Ojha's action needs remedial measures. Thus, the sportsman has been withdrawn from the Ranji team. He will now head to Chennai for corrective measures. Spanish striker Fernando Torres has signed a 2-year deal with AC Milan. He will join on a permanent basis on the 5th of January 2015. Torres joined Chelsea from Liverpool for a then British record transfer fee of £50 million in January 2011. The striker helped the club win the Champions League, Europa League and FA Cup. Kochi got its very own wax museum recently. Popular faces like Mahatma Gandhi, Anna Hazare and Tibetan spiritual leader the Dalai Lama are part of the museum. You take a look at this as we take you leave. Good night. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.